Things I learned today. People say, what did you learn today? Things I learned today, this weekend. I learned that there's this thing called love. There's this thing called partnership and commitment and faith and friendship and acceptance and cohabitation and energy exchange, and it's always a bit of the subject for everybody and everybody else's own little way. But what I learned this week was that the people who find a need to put themselves and their needs a little behind them and really actively devote a certain amount of time and energy in exploiting or exploring or supporting something other than themselves, for something other than their own reason, their rate, their finance, their this, that. I mean, literally just passionately give their time and purpose for that moment to something else where for that moment they don't even worry about, oh, if this is going to pay off. You know, oh, Lord, I gave so much on the altar this week. I know I'm going to have a man coming next week. You know, at best, I've learned that it's better to know that you have something that you do that even if you believed in heaven or paradise, the best that you would know you can accomplish is at least a couple of weeks rental on a nice little roach-infested suite in the hood in purgatory, more than rather heaven or hell at all. Now, knowing that you've done some things that you know are not necessarily going to pay off right now, but you know you've got a couple extra points in another life, enough for you to at least not really cut all the chips into being totally in a state of getting your ass handed to you. That faith thing, that I learned that people, spiritual people, give too much power to everything but their faith. More people blame the devil than the devil actually has credit for. God may take you and put you through some stuff right now at this moment that you may not have ideas of why that's going to be the pivotal point of something that's going to put you in a place that you've always dreamed of but never knew, you know, you needed. You wanted something, but you needed this, and God don't give you what you want, but always gives you more than what you need if you can handle it. And therein lies the problem. Most people, they just want a certain thing. Oh, Lord, I just don't want to be overly blessed. I don't want to be put into a big thing. I just want to be allowed to have this nice little comfortable thing and just be quiet. I don't want to give my life for my faith and my community and my service and this. I don't want to be a mentor. I'll be a mentor, but I don't want to be a martyr. I don't want to be a hero. I don't want to be all of that. That's but sure would appreciate it if you go hook me up, you know, down here in the bottom end. And yet and still, you watch how this faith thing, you know, allows way too many people to give way too much credit to way too many things that don't have their hands on you, when blessed people never become unblessed. I've learned that the hardest thing to walk by faith and not by sight is to understand that sight is only one sense that has so many different things connected to so many different senses, that the more that you connect with these other senses, and the more that you take the energy from other senses, and therefore your eyes get worse but your sight gets better. I've learned that people spend an apt amount of time in worry, concern, or the support of their dysfunctional moments where they need to digress because that's the best thing that they've known to do to not necessarily burn Paris when sometimes Paris needs to burn. I've learned that what happens in the dark doesn't necessarily have to get to the light because people can't see the same light the same way. They don't care. They just want to be. I learned that my state of unpartnership is not due to the mere fact that I'm just undateable. It's the fact that I don't date. And my state of needs and expressions in life has to come with a, a powerful kind of devotionary kind of insight, a faith that it's not my job to convince someone I'm worthy of that. I learned that the less that I worry about how many things that in my life are exposed, in front of everyone on Front Street, the more the less I have to defend. Yep, that's it. Because it's not where I'm at and who I am right now. It's the amount of time I put into knowing that if God's going to grant me another decade or two to live, and I have that time to spare to share with anyone, I would rather be more prepared to be wise than to just be elderly. I learned today that people don't really take any form of pride in the amount of growth they allow themselves to justify their existence on a day-to-day, week-to-week cycle of any sort. I learned today that these retrogrades and these shifts in planetary things that are going on in this era, while I'm still alive and several other people who had planned on not being alive are now in the eye of astrological change that exists every 26,000 years of humanity. And yet and still, every day that I suffer a different way than anyone of my background or qualification have been afforded outside of this realm. And yet and still, what makes me so uninclusive with all the other set orders of my culture actually makes me more possibly capable of being the very type of thing that these other social secret orders and groups of people have been culturally and historically prepared to be ready to support when the revolution comes. And yet and still, it's kind of hard to tell somebody that maybe you've been prepared to be of assistance to me more than you've ever been prepared to expect it to come from someone that looked like me. We're in the era of waiting for Jesus, and we've got more Americanized, cultural, enlightened people who have been prepared to expect it to be Mr. Charlie, just because it's just not comfortable seeing the God in you enough to be more of a God to the others too. I learned that I'm going to be just fine as long as I can just excuse the discomfort that comes with being who I am when others are not quite capable of answering the questions that I ask every morning that I'm blessed with another day. You good?